Hey, everybody, James Escarcega with the man who played some golf yesterday and
That's off the
nearly
golf
won the
course.
tournament there. Huh, Freddie?
We did well. We were one shot out of contention, but had a great day with my brother and the group that we were in. It was for a children's charity classic that our company sponsored, and yeah, we had a great time. Great time.
And we should wish your brother a happy birthday, by the way. He
Big
joins us
50.
in the
He's
50
joined.
Club.
Yes, he's joined the 50 Club, James. Yeah, it's quite a club. It's great to get there.
You just don't do it on a year when there's a pandemic
Yeah.
like I did last year where you couldn't do anything. So it's all good, so to speak. It's great to see you, Freddie, and it's great to see you, everybody. I think all the reviews last week from our season premiere, the 2 minute drill, were great. Everyone had great comments from the games I was at. I'm sure you got the same thing at Charter Oak. Let's just hit quickly, Fred. Just talk about as we do every our videos we do every time. Let's just briefly just kind of hit the rewind button. Just give me a couple of quick takes from last weekend there, Freddie.
Well, I think quickly some of the surprises were, La Habra getting shut out by Upland. That was one I didn't anticipate. I think Pasadena with what 26 players or whatever they had going to Notre Dame, and really I think the only reason they lost that game, James, is because they ran out of gas. It seems to me if they have everyone healthy and they're ready to go, that's a game that they're going to win. So Pasadena is the real deal. They are what we thought they might be. Charter Oak, I was at that game. I was extremely impressed. It reminded me of one of those Charter Oak teams that we saw earlier this decade. They can run the ball. Whenever you can run the ball and play defense the way they do, that's going to go a long way. So those were some of the impressive games right off the bat. I thought Cal High, Vance Johnson, you're going to watch for them. They could be the sleeper, I think, in the Del Rio League. El Rancho played well. That's going to be an interesting league. We saw Bonita go on the road and beat Lacerna, and then that was in overtime. Boy, it's going to be interesting in that league with Bonita, Ayala, and Charter Oak. Those are three of the teams in a four-team league. One of them aren't going to get an automatic playoff berth at some time. Down the line, and those are three really good teams. So, a lot happened to opening weekend, but this is going to be an even bigger week, James. So why don't you set it up?
Yeah, let's just do that. I just want to. I know, Freddie, you wanted to touch quickly on the Pasadena situation. You have a story that is posted just almost about mid morning here. And I was at the game last week with Sherman Oaks Notre Dame. It was quite the scene to see Pasadena enter the school, go to the stadium without its head coach. Players were few transfers not playing, kids not cleared. It's one of those situations, Freddie.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really a lot of transfers more than kids not being cleared, just through a lot of their the just the basic stuff that you need to go through with physicals. That they just didn't get it cleared in time. Coach Schamberger, I talked to him. He's going to be back this week. It was just simply due to personal reasons. There was nothing major that caused him to miss on Friday, and he's expected to be back. All of those players that you saw, James, on the sidelines that weren't cleared, he says nearly all of them are expected to be back this week. The only one, I guess, is Jason Ridley, the mere transfer, who now, if you look today on the CIF website, he will take the sit-out period. So he'll be back in about 5 weeks, which is good. Originally, there was some thought that that was going to be challenged, and there was the possibility that maybe he would have to miss out the whole season. So I think if there's a compromise to be made, or however it happened, the sit-out period it turns out to be a good thing because we're going to see him at some point.
Good point. And when he gets cleared, that's the start of the Pacific League, and that's the real season,
Right,
so to
right.
speak. So you got to, they'll get him at the right time. Freddie, we should mention real fast too. You broke the story Sunday. No other newspaper had it. We were the only ones who had it on the new testing protocols that will now, according to updated guidance that was released yesterday by the LA Department of Public Health, testing will begin on September the 1st.
Yes, they'll be required to start testing on September the 1st. And that's for only LA County schools, which are basically all of the schools in our coverage area. So it's back to the future, so to speak. They will, a lot of these teams were doing this right before the football season. And a lot of schools, the Mission Valley League has been testing weekly as it is. But it's definitely going to cause a little bit of hiccup, James. And we're definitely going to see, I think, more teams that are going to have to isolate some players because look, when you're not required to test, it's really it's the honor system, and you're depending on players that when they don't feel right, they go get tested on their own. And if they are positive, they turn that into their athletic director. Then they do their own health and safety protocols. Now that all these schools are going to be required to test 48 hours before their contests, with this new Delta variant, and it seems to be something that spreads really easily. I think we're going to see a lot more teams have players that test positive. And that's why it's important really to get your vaccine, because I think there's going to be a distinction between players who have had the vaccine. If they don't show any symptoms, they're going to be good to go. Where if you haven't had the vaccine, and there's someone has COVID, I think you're going to be expected to go straight into the protocols. So these are things we're gonna be checking during the season. It's just I think it caught a lot of people by surprise over the weekend that this was going to happen. But again, this is just LA County right now. There isn't an expectation that this is going to go statewide, especially with with an election coming up and a recall election coming up. I wouldn't expect there to be a statewide mandate. So we'll see how this plays out. I think a lot of the schools will be prepared for it. The good thing is that they included the September 1st start, because a lot of schools that were getting this news over the weekend were concerned. We had Thursday and Friday games. Whoa, wait a minute. We don't have time. Let us catch our breath and figure this out. And this is going to give them that time. Now, I should say that they're supposed to update that again today, James. I don't know exactly if there will be any amendments or how that will go, but there's supposed to be even new protocols out today that we'll be monitoring. And follow me on Twitter, follow yourself on Twitter. We'll update if there's whatever the latest will be.
We'll let Freddie handle it, and we'll just go from there. But it's an ever-changing story, everybody, and again, I just wonder, Freddie, if this is going to be now the push we need to get athletes to get vaccinated. And the fact that if you're vaccinated and you're in contact with a person who is positive, if you don't show any symptoms, you're back in playing. Where in the spring you were wiped out because of contact tracing. Now, if you're vaccinated and with full authorization we just got from the FDA on the Pfizer vaccine for people 18 and above. I hope this is kind of like the over the hill hump we need here.
I have no idea. This thing is so polarizing, James, that you hope that people do, but again, it's up to families and their personal decisions. And if they choose to not get their kids a vaccine, or they don't do it themselves, that's a decision they have to make, and they have to live with whatever the consequences are in terms of maybe more testing or whatever happens. It's their choice. And I'm not one who's going to sit here and judge and say what you should or shouldn't do. It's there if you want it. We know what the rules are, what the protocols are going to be, and what the consequences are if you don't get it. So it's all out there for everyone.
Yep. Okay, that's enough of that. If you want more of it, and just go somewhere else and talk about it. We're here to talk some football here. So let's get to work here, Freddie. What a tremendous week of football. It just starts on Thursday and it just works our way toward Friday night. Let's talk about, there are 3 huge games, and we're going to first talk about the game on Thursday night you're going to be at. It's Loyola at Damien. Not only is Damien top ranked in your rankings, but in the first Cal Prep rankings that were released on Monday, Damien is number 1 in the area as well. Freddie, what a game.
Yeah, and Damien, they had their scrimmage on Friday over at Corona Centennial, and I heard they really got manhandled in that game, and a lot of people are talking about it. And I don't know if that does, if it causes a little chink in the armor in terms of confidence. Damien had come out strong this summer and fall with the videos and come and get us sort of mantra. But look, Corona Centennial, modern day St. John Bosco, they're on a different level. So don't look too much into that. But I'll tell you what, this test on Thursday night against Loyola, James, this is going to be a major, major, major test. And we're going to find out, what Damien is going to be like the rest of the way when we make predictions based on this game, because this Loyola team, from everything you read, whether it's Scorebook Live or Cal Prep rankings or Max Prep's rankings, this is a top 20, maybe top 15 team in the Southern section this year on paper. That's what the expectation is. And they're coming into to Damien on Thursday night, and the Spartans better be ready.
One thing to keep in mind with Loyola from last year, they were one of the eight ranked teams on Cal Prep. So if they theoretically took the 8 best teams for that Division One, they would have been one of them. That's how good they were last
Yeah,
year.
I think this is going to be Damien. You look at their schedule; they're 10 games. This is the toughest game in the schedule. It's not Bishop Amat, it's Loyola, and it's this Thursday night, and this is going to be really the bread and butter game to find out exactly where they are. No, they're not. They're not at Corona Centennial's level or those teams, but how close are they to teams like Loyola, which to me is that right in that next second tier of a lot of great teams, and Damien wants to get in that tier of where these second, where these next great teams are at. So this is the test. I mean, I don't think they're gonna win on Friday, James. I mean, if you're asking me to pick, I don't think Damien is gonna beat Loyola. I think Damien is solid. I think they're gonna have a great season. I think they're gonna, I think they're gonna win the baseline league despite what we saw with Upland last week beating La Habra. I think they're that good. But everything that I've read and heard about Loyola, I just don't think they're going to win this game on Thursday night.
All roads lead to big game James picking Damien to beat Loyola on Thursday night. That's all I'm saying. It's a long hashtag.
Because you think Loyola's overrated or Damien's that good?
I think Damien's pretty good, Coach. And look at last year. Damien scrimmaged St. John Bosco, and we were all a little concerned for a second. And they played Servite, and they competed with him. They just made some few mistakes. I've seen this story before. I'm gonna take Damien. I know they'll probably be the underdog for sure.
The rub is on Damien. They've got a lot of the impact players. It's on the line. They're not as big as where they wanted to be or they need to be on the offensive and defensive lines. Now they're solid, but when you get into these games against these heavyweights, these games are won in the trenches, and that's the one concern that they have. Not that they're not capable. They're young in those spots, James. They're young in those spots. It may take another year to beat these Loyolas and take that next step. But they're right there on the verge. You got to give Mac Bechtel credit. They're right there on the cusp. I just think it's not going to come Thursday night.
Okay. So we got a split here on our Thursday night special, which is Loyola at Damien. Let's go to Friday. So Freddie got the big weekend here. He's got Loyola, Damien covering Thursday. And then he gets the big game on Friday, which is La Habra at Bishop Amat. We all know about La Habra. They lost. They were shut out by Upland on last week. Bishop Amat was scheduled last week to play Servite, but they had to cancel the game due to a COVID outbreak that happened during their retreat. So they had to end up scrimmaging Culver City last week. As openers go, Freddie, I don't think we see a game that was going to have so many storylines more than this one, because I think a lot of people want to see what Bishop Amat's all about.
Yeah, and I think with Upland losing, was it 13-0, James, to Upland? Yeah, right. Well, whatever it was, with La Habra losing, I think that puts more pressure on Bishop Amat this week to win, because La Habra's been tenderized, so to speak, and we've kind of seen that what we thought of them, they might not be there yet. So this is a game I think Bishop Amat needs to win, because they're expected to win now. And the concern that I have, and I think you had talked to Coach Haggerty last week, or maybe it was an email exchange where he wasn't really, they had COVID with some players, and I heard it was a significant amount of players a few weeks ago coming off of that retreat that they had, and they really had a slow time getting back to work, getting themselves ready. I guess he wasn't happy with the first weeks of practice, not based on their talent, but just based on people just catching their breath and getting going again. So I'd be a little concerned if you're an Amat fan in that regard. But I think at Kiefer, when the lights go on Friday night and the players feel the energy from that crowd, because it's a special place to play if you haven't been there, I think you're going to see Bishop Amat step up, rise to the occasion, and really get this done. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any standard. But if Upland could shut out what I thought was a much better La Habra offense, I think Amat should be enough to get this done, James.
It's a good point. But I'm still taking La Habra here, Freddie, and I just take them because they know they've been in these hostile environments in Orange County where it's been Servite or Mission Viejo, and they've usually really competed well against these type of teams. And I know Frank was a little frustrated after the game. I have a feeling practice is going to be a little more focused and a little more on point this week.
Mhm.
I'm taking La Habra here, Freddie. I
Yeah.
really am. I think they've got a shot. This game features two of your top five quarterbacks that you ranked at the beginning of the season, in Justin Gill over at La Habra and Tobin Odella over at Bishop One. I think for me, Freddie, I want to see what Tobin's all about here.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. I remember him coming up as a sophomore, and he was pretty highly touted. And no, he has all the talent in the world. And I think with they had a transfer recently that came into the program from Sierra
Sierra
Canyon.
Canyon.
Sierra Canyon, and maybe that puts a little pressure on him to perform, because if something doesn't happen, you've got a guy right there on your tail ready to go. But Odell certainly has all the talent, James. I think this last spring COVID season he wasn't really able to show it, and things were just not right. We saw a little bit of it from him as a sophomore, and when I spoke with Steve, or we had our exchanges before the season, he expected Odell. He was the one guy he kind of circled in this whole thing where he expected a great season from. And look, he's extremely athletic. He can run the ball and pass the ball. He's your perfect prototypical high school quarterback, a guy that can just lead you. So that's what I'm looking for too. I expect a breakthrough game from him on Friday night. Not necessarily a breakthrough, but a big game. And for him to lead the way, because I think he's a senior. He's ready for it. He's been in the program a long time, and he's the one guy they are going to look to, James, this year to really lead this team. So we're going to find out. There's nothing like playing games to really find out where you are, and we'll see. La Habra's defense is solid. That game was 13-0, so they it's not like they're giving up a lot of points.
So we got a split here. I'm taking La Habra. Freddie's taking Bishop
You're
One. Should
taking
be a
La
great game,
Habra
by the way.
after
Yeah,
that.
I'm
La
taking La
Habra
Habra,
was so
Coach.
convincing to
I
you in
trust
week 0 that now they're going to beat Bishop Amat.
I trust Frank Mazzotta. I do.
Did you
So
trust him
we're just
last
going to
week?
go from there. No, Anyway, so
Hey,
that's
but in terms of Upland, how about Daryl Thomas, the old Covina coach, going there?
whoa. And
Let's be honest. They had a bad spring. We'd heard about a few of the the 4 transfers that went to Damien, and here they are. They go and they beat La Habra. I don't think a lot of people expected that, except for people that are close with Upland. That to me was really a surprise. And congrats to Coach Thomas and the crew over there.
Boy, is that baseline league going to be something by the time we get
Yeah,
to
yeah,
October? Wow,
yeah.
wow, wow, wow. The other game on Friday, and this is a game I'm going to be at. It's the season opener for St. Francis. They'll be hosting Miracosta over at Freeman Field at Jim Bond Stadium. They got the brand new scoreboard, looks beautiful. Even though they played 2 home games last year or last spring, Freddie, the fans are really not allowed. So fans are going to be at this game for the first time. So the emotions are going to be high because this is really truly the first home game for St. Francis since the passing of our good friend and our coaching legend and Jim Bonds. But you get Dean Harrington in his first start here, and I thought they scrimmaged okay against Valencia last week. I went out to go watch them scrimmage, and I think Jack Jacobs is going to be a quarterback. Freddie, we're going to have to watch here very closely.
Yeah, Jack Jacobs, and you mentioned it with Harrington. He's won everywhere he's gone, James, and you put him at a program now like St. Francis, and I think just sky's the limit. And they've got a lot of talent. They really do, and I'm expecting a big year from them. I don't think it's going to be a situation where it's going to take Harrington long. You're going to see him, put his imprint on this team really fast. These games with Miracosta the last few years have been some barn burners. They've gone back and forth. But I really like St. Francis, especially, you said that, the crowd will be back, the atmosphere will be back. That's a special place to play over there. And, I just, I don't see them losing this game. I just don't. Not in an opener with everything that's on the line.
I certainly agree. Max Garrison, the big running back slash DB, two-way standout, and I'm telling you, Fred, that offensive line.
And who has a better 1-2 punch than that? When you talk about the quarterback,
I would say arguably Glendora, but we'll talk about that next week when they have their own truth game against Charter Oak in the Mayor's Cup.
Yeah, that's going to be something. There's a lot of bad blood with Charter Oak and Glendora. I can tell you that. That's going to be something next week, boy.
But I would say that, and I think one of the things too, Dean Harrington mentioned this to me, that this is the biggest offensive line he's ever had. And when you look at across the board here with guys at 6'3", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", he can do some damage. He's already on an inventive, a great mind offensively, but you put a line in front of him like that, it's going to be fun to watch. So we're both going to take St. Francis here in the season opener. Go ahead, Fred.
And over these next, 2, 3, 4 years, I'll be interesting to see. You got Harrington now over there at St. Francis. You got Bechtel at Damien. We've got Haggerty right now at Bishop Amat. Coach Cepeda over at St. Paul. I'm really interested to see where these programs go, James. Who is going to step up and rise above the rest? Because it used to be Bishop Amat and everybody else, and now I think you really have a legitimate four with strong coaching staffs. They're going to battle it out over the next several years. It's going to be fun.
It will be. All right, folks. It is time. It's right. It's time for the lightning round. We're going to hit all these games here. We're going to put Freddie on the spot with quick takes, quick picks here. We got just a great batch of games here, Freddie. So here we go. Let's just start it off with Thursday night. La Mirada at Chaffee.
Chaffee. I'm going to go with Chaffee. La Mirada didn't look good in week 1, and I'm going for. I would call this an upset. And I'm calling this right now because I want to see Mike Machete get it done, actually. So let's go with Chaffee so that maybe the reverse jinx will help La Mirada this weekend.
Lucerna versus Warren at Cal High, and our man John Sherrard is there.
I can't imagine Lucerna starting 0-2. I just can't. And I know this is going to be a tough game this week. I would have thought this game would have been tougher than the Bonita game. But I think last week was the wake-up call, and Lucerna will be back, and they'll get this win. But Warren's a very good team.
Friday, our man Donald Morrison's at this one. Rio Hondo Prep versus Pasadena Poly at Care Youth.
Hey, man, this is one of the games of the year, and I'm glad that I was able to send Donald, and he's going to cover this game because these are the lightweight power teams. Pasadena Poly looked good in their opening game. Last year they played one game at the Rose Bowl, right? And that was a really, really close game, a barn burner before Rio Hondo Prep pulled it out. But I always got to go with Rio Hondo Prep right now until Pasadena Poly can prove me differently. They've just got it loaded. They've got a guy who just who's been offered by Colorado, a Pac-12 school, James, which is absolutely huge. I don't think they've had a guy go Division I since Landon Goodwill in the early 2000s when I first went to the Star News. So that's major for Rio Hondo Prep when you're talking about a school with less than 100 kids having a guy getting offered by Colorado. They're always special, and I think they'll get it done, especially at that great Care Youth facility.
El Toro at Cal.
I'm going with Vance Johnson until someone can prove me otherwise. They had a good spring. He ran for 4 touchdowns, over 230 yards, I think, in their season opening win. But those teams from Orange County are always tough. I don't know a lot about them, but I'm going to go with Cal and until proven otherwise.
Here's 2 teams you would know. Northview at Charter Oak.
Are you asking me to really predict that game?
Yes, I am, Coach. They're both 1-0.
Charter Oak, they look so good against a very good team from the Central section. Northview's gonna. I'll tell you this. Northview is gonna be better than I thought they were this year. I think they're really gonna give San Dimas and Diamond Ranch a run for their money now in that Valley Vista League. I think they can play with San Dimas. They might be able to beat them. Diamond Ranch is still a favorite. They're definitely better than they were in the spring. Having said all that, they're nowhere near Charter Oak right now. I think this is a 3 or 4 touchdown game for the Chargers.
Okay, since you mentioned Diamond Ranch, they play Chino Hills at home.
Yeah. This is a great one. Beating South Hills. Actually, I thought South Hills showed themselves well, only losing by 2 touchdowns to Diamond Ranch, because you've heard so much about Diamond Ranch, and I really should have had them in my top 10 rankings, and I didn't, but now they're number 8 this week. Chino Hills had a great opening week, James. I don't think Diamond Ranch. I'm going to take Chino Hills in this game. They've got the new coaching staff over there. They've seemed to overnight be able to put this together, and they've always have a lot of talent. And if they keep it there at Chino Hills, where they should do enough to beat Diamond Ranch. But don't ever count out Diamond Ranch. I think it's going to be a close game. This game is going to be inside a touchdown, but I'm going to go slight edge towards Chino Hills.
Ayala at Los Altos.
Yeah, Los Altos is another team. They beat Wilson. There's really not a lot to take away from that. Ayala's got the great quarterback. We saw him, the freshman in the spring, just kind of dominate everybody. I don't think it's a game Los Altos is ready for. I could see this game getting lopsided at some point. I'm going to go with Ayala. Yeah, I'm just telling it like it is.
Don't tell that to our man Travis Brown. He gave me a 15-minute dissertation on how this team's going to upset Ayala.
Post it, show it, do whatever you want with it. Ayala's the real deal.
Glendora versus...
I thought this is there. Like I said, that Valley Vista League is going to be interesting. But these teams like Ayala and Charter Oak, they're on a different level really right now.
Glendora preps for the Mayor's Cup against Covina at District Field.
Yeah, that's another one. It's really... this is a mismatch this year to put those, in years past, maybe this is a game. Glendora is simply too physical. They're too much of everything for Covina right now.
Bonita at Downey.
Yeah, after what Bonita did last week, James, going on the road and winning that game in overtime, I was impressed. I know the score kind of got up there, but I think defensively they showed they can handle a really good offensive team, and Bonita's going to be able to score points. So I was really impressed with them. I'm going to take them this week against Downey.
San Marino versus Village Christian, and I mentioned this game because our buddy Mike Mooney, our old coaching legend, his son, freshman, is starting on the offensive line at San Marino, Freddie.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, the old Lion bringing up the young Lion. That's great. I'm really happy for Coach Mooney and his son. And the Village Christian, are they the ones that didn't they lose their opener to Maranatha?
They beat LaSalle last week, Coach.
LaSalle. Yeah, they're the one. Yeah, so I don't see San Marino beating them this week. I think San Marino had the perfect opponent to open the season and get a win. I think they're going to find it really tough this week. If LaSalle didn't beat this team, I certainly don't think San Marino is going to be able to do it.
Last game, San Dimas at Montebello.
I was really impressed with San Dimas last week against Whittier because a lot of people were telling me that I had them way overranked at number 10, that they'd lost a few guys, and I was going to be surprised at what happens in that game. And then they go ahead and just kind of blow Whittier out. So, again, until proven otherwise, I'm taking San Dimas. I think Montebello had a rough time, didn't they?
They got shut out pretty bad by Garfield.
Yeah. So I think San Dimas is going to beat them in much of the same way that they did Whittier. They'll be 2-0, and we'll wait. We'll wait until they find there's a tougher opponent for them to really make a big prediction. But this should be easy for them. All
right, there you go, folks. The lightning round. We did it again, Freddie. More games, more teams to talk about and everything. And I think this is a big week, Freddie. We're going to find out a lot about these teams, and I think that's why the Sunday morning wrap is going to be. I'm going to write. It's going to be very interesting. We've got a lot of games we got to follow up on here, Coach.
And I think our rankings from the preseason now, they're going to have some legitimacy because right now Damien's 1, Bishop Amat is 2 right now.
St. Francis is 3, Glendora is 4, and Charter Oak is 5.
And La Habra, who was number 3, had dropped down a little bit. But now with these teams playing each other, we're looking at what Damien's playing in Loyola. I can't wait till that game on Thursday night. I mean, I would love nothing more than to see Damien beat Loyola. And when it comes down to these games, I really like to see San Gabriel Valley teams do well. When you look at some of the big board ranking, James, there's not a lot of San Gabriel Valley teams in it. For whatever it is, it goes to Orange County, Ventura, and whatever. I think we've got to prove it I think we've got to win these games. People need to see it. It feels like it's the SGV against the world in terms of these big board rankings. And again, we've got to show we can beat these teams. For years, it's just been Bishop Amat being the one that's had to prove it. They've been the one that's been in these big rankings. I think we have the potential for teams like Damien to get in there, for teams like St. Francis to get in there. You've got Bishop Amat. So let's go out and prove it. It's a big game on Thursday night. I know they're going to be fired up over in Laverne for this game. I just hope they have enough to get it done.
You know, the other team I'm thinking about too is Glendora. I think they got all the pieces in place to make that run that you can see and get some legitimacy and beat some teams out in the Inland Empire and Orange County. I think they showed it last week. I think they're going to be okay. I mean, they went to the Santa Clarita Valley and beat West Ranch. You know, I think it's a good way to start for them. It's one of those. That's another team with Charter Oak.
Right. And let's just say, Charter Oak and Glendora are both going to be 2-0 when they play next week and for the Mayor's Trophy. They have both, with transfers and just doing a good job of selling their programs, have had people want to go to those schools. And there's some competitive juices. Believe you me, there's some competitive juices at both schools that do not want to lose this game. There's going to be a lot on the line. And I think both of them, these are the best teams that both of them have had in a while. So I can't wait for that game. We've always talked about La Habra being the best public school. I think right now Charter Oak and Glendora are knocking on that door, James, and they want to step through and they're building back up. I can't. It's a week away. Basically, they both have tune-ups this week, taking on Northview and Covina. So we'll see it. That's a week away, and we'll have a lot to talk about as we get close.
What's not a week away, what's going to happen late Friday night is what Freddie does every week when we get all the games completed, and that is the Friday
night.
Yeah,
you look at the Friday night wrap. Yeah, that's where we put all of the scores together, the stories, the photos that we have, even some videos that we'll drop in there. And it's really just the one-stop shop. So make sure you get a digital subscription. They're very cheap. Last thing you want to do is click on one of those stories and see that sign that pops up that says you need to go here to sign in. Just do it now. It's only a few bucks per month, really. It's like going to your Starbucks and buying a cup of coffee in the morning. It's really not that expensive.
Here's my Starbucks right here, Coach.
And you'll get to unwrap everything that's on our websites at the Star News Tribune and Whittier Daily News, and not just that. We have a big team of reporters, so you can get to read what's going on in Orange County at the Register, at the Daily News with Tarek Patel, out in the Inland Empire with Eric Paul Johnson. I mean, it's a great way to just go in and read about everything that's going on. You won't miss a score. You'll get to read all of the stories. It's a great way to spend a late Friday night or early Saturday morning. So I encourage you to get those digital subscriptions.
Not only that, folks, you get to read about UCLA football that starts the season on Saturday, Freddie, against Hawaii.
Everything. Don't forget, we've got beat reporters who cover UCLA, USC, the Lakers, Dodgers, Rams, everything. So, and it's just that one cheap price for a digital subscription. You just want to do it. And right. You're helping us out. You're helping us continue on and share this for years to come. So, get that subscription, James. It's really important to all of us, and I think once you have it, you're going to be pretty happy that you got it, because it just opens so many places you can go and read about all of the teams you want. I mean, all of the local teams, high schools, all of the pro teams. It's all right there for a small price.
One final take here, Freddie. It was great to see. I don't know how it was at Charter Oak, but it was great to see fans back in the stands with the band, with the cheerleaders. The snack bar was open. It just felt right, Freddie.
Yeah, it was a normal Friday night, and I thought everyone, as they're coming in, they're wearing their masks where they needed to be, and I felt safe out there, and I think a lot of the fans feel safe out there. I think the schools all do a responsible job at the end of the day, and just keep it going. This variant isn't going away anytime soon. That's why we have some of the new updated health and safety protocols. But do your best. That's all we can ask. There's no more lecturing, really, James. I think everybody knows where we stand, and it's going to be up to everyone to do what they think is right for them.
Okay, and I think it was great. It was, in the spring we didn't have the bands and the snack bars, and everything else. Now we're able to get somewhat of normalcy back, and it was just great to see Friday night football back in its pageantry and its glory, so to speak. Freddie, it's great to see you, pal. We'll see you
Yeah.
next week, and we've already teased what's going to be the big game next week. But we hope to see you all at the games, everybody. So for Freddie, I'm James. We'll see you next week. Thank you.